It's time, ladies and gentlemen, that we begin. Is everybody's ready? Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask each of you, and starting with my personal favorite, which is Harvey, because he's from MWDOC, and he told me he was my favorite. You will introduce yourselves, give us your elevator speech, so we'll know what's going on with your gang, all right? Harvey.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. It's Harvey De La Torre. I'm the newly appointed general manager for the Municipal Water District of Orange County. We got 30 plus days as tenure. Thank you. So my pitch for my agency is I know that a lot of you know what we do and who we are. We are 100% wholesale agency, part of the Metropolitan Water District, with a fantastic board of 7. So I'll let you know.
Said just the way we asked you to.
But I think more the issue is like, where are we going? What is MWDOC? Where's our pitch? And I would say that we're a service-oriented agency. We're striving to be a service-oriented agency that truly is trying to ensure good customer service and provide that reliability, but do it with a true understanding of what's best for the region, and provide that probably in the most cost-effective way. It is really trying to follow that mission statement, but I think it's something that we can continue to emphasize more on in regards to service-oriented type of organization. So that's my pitch for what MWDOC is and what it's striving to be.
Thank you, sir. Van County Water Authority.
All right, hello everyone. So let me get this out of the way first. I don't know how many times I've been asked tonight, did you want the job? Why did you take the job? And how's your mental health? So I just want you all to know that I'm fine, okay? Like all my colleagues here, it's trial by fire. The Water Authority is in many ways kind of a reflection of what we've inherited as a region. We don't have any groundwater. We have a very strong military community. We are an imported water agency, and I think because of that, we have embarked upon, I think, what many of you in this room know about, which is a diversification effort that's lasted 20 to 30 years. It's time for us to evolve from that. I think that our investment cycle that we've been on, some agencies are just starting. We're at the point where we have some really expensive supplies, right? I think that it goes without saying that kind of investment, with it comes ratepayer fatigue, comes affordability issues, and those are the things that we're trying to tackle head on. We can't afford in many ways to continue to do what we're doing. And so I use the word evolve because that's exactly what we have to do. We have to find a way to use our resource mix a little bit differently. And I truly believe the only way that we can do that is with partnerships and with trust. It's with the folks on this stage. It's with my colleagues at Metropolitan, in Southern California, in the Colorado River Basin. And so that's my pitch to all of you going forward. I can't do it alone. I need the help of my colleagues here, and I need the help of all of you to get to a point where you help me, you help my agency and our region get to the next stage of our water life. That's my pitch.
Thank you, sir. John?
John Kennedy, Orange County Water District. Been a general manager for 3 days. It's been pretty easy so far, So I don't know what Marcus was complaining about. Anyway, but at the Water District, we manage the groundwater basin. And my quick little speech here is, over the decades, we have made very large investments into the groundwater basin with the intent of maximizing the utility of the groundwater basin. Mother Nature gave us a groundwater basin, and it's our job to fully utilize it. And I think we've been very successful. We have doubled the annual sustainable yield of the groundwater basin, and that has helped support Orange County's growth. That has really decreased our need for imported water in our service territory. So I think we've been pretty successful so far, and hopefully we can continue down that road. Thank you.
And thank you very much for inviting us here. My name is EJ Caldwell, General Manager of West Basin Municipal Water District. Like Harvey, I had the opportunity to test out the role in the interim period between general managers, and people ask me all the time why I accepted it, and it's pretty simple. It's the people. I have an engaged board, an active board in the communities, making my job easier. I have the world's best staff out there busting their butt every single day, excuse my language, but getting things done. And when I talk about the people, looking at this audience, I can't step over the fact that we have a legacy of excellent staff. And if I look across this room, I know that I can see a handful of West Basin staffers, leaders in this industry. And so the people really are the reason for me being here. Projects, we have a world-renowned water recycling facility serving the majority of our service area as far as recycled water goes. Customers like SoFi Stadium, the Chargers, practice facility, Goodyear, just met with Chevron today. So working on these issues with all of these entities that really want to do the right thing and offset their use of imported water. And then talk about the location. For those of you who aren't familiar with West Basin Municipal Water District, 17 cities and unincorporated portions of LA County, Malibu all the way to the Palos Verdes Peninsula. We are an extremely diverse community, and meeting the needs of those communities is an excellent challenge, and our staff is up to it.
All right.
Always save the best for last.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, it's fun not to sit at the end, but here I am. It's the best place to go, but after these fine gentlemen. Firstly, good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me on this panel with these distinguished panelists. I'm very happy to be here. So I'm happy to share a little bit about the utility I serve as well. And what we do is we deliver safe and reliable water. It's an essential service. And we are a retail agency, so we deliver that straight to businesses and homes. A little bit different than some of the wholesale water agencies, so that when people turn on their taps, clean water comes out. And that's a noble cause that drives us every day. We serve about 170,000 people. Our service area is a little bit larger than the city. And so it's not actually that big of a city, but I like to say that we have big city services with small city connectedness. And we serve about 38,000 service connections directly, and we're also blessed with groundwater resources. So that's about a third of our water supplies. And what we do, and what we want to continue to do, is keep optimizing this regional partnership, because the 2/3 of our supplies is through our investments in Metropolitan and this collective with all of you. And so that's what we want to continue to do. Our mayor calls the city the center of the universe. So we talk about location. Pasadena, center of the universe. And I realize that's awkward to say in Orange County territory here, but that just shows the pride and the passion of our highly engaged community. We have a highly engaged community. We had a town hall the other week, and about 100 people came to that town hall just to learn about water and hear what we have to say. We have a highly engaged community, and we want to continue to conserve them, not just as water, so as a city view, water and power, part of the entire city, and as part of this entire collective, meaning all of you. So thank you.
You're probably nervous about what I'm going to ask today. I'm not going to ask you for the names of your dogs or your cats. I want you to relax for a moment, because I forgot to recognize you're talking about a noble effort. There's a noble effort that goes on in our part of the world called the Southern California Water Coalition. I had the privilege of going to one of their meetings earlier this week. It's an organization that does great work, and I would urge you to continue to support that, as I would urge you to continue to support these evenings. It gives you a chance to meet and visit with your own peers, the people that you'd like to talk to but never get a chance to. It gives you a chance to hear from the people that are shaping the dialogue in water world at upper levels in the C-suite. And so on the way out, make sure you say hi to Charlie over here. Hi, Charlie. Now we're going to warm up with what I've been told is going to be the bullet round.
Yeah.
By that, it's a relatively brief question, which is, what is your agency's top issue? And because you are my favorite, I'm going to ask Dan to start.
All right, Harvey. So, for the Water Authority, it has to be at this point the Colorado River. The Colorado River supplies that we have, it's 50% of our regional supplies in San Diego, and it wasn't always like that. But, the river's in a state that's, we were on the brink of catastrophe, quite literally, right, 2 years ago. And so shoring up those supplies, shoring up our partnership that we have in the Imperial Valley, both with the farming community and the environmental justice community. That is a top priority for us. But a one-off as well has to do with, again, this idea of affordability. We've gotten to a point where we've made significant investments, and we've made a lot of these investments in desal, $3,000 water, right? With that comes reliability, but also with that comes something to where not everyone can afford that. And so we're trying to tinker with our resource mix and get it just right. I think that those are really the 1 and 2 or 1A and 1B priorities that we have.
Thank you, sir. And I couldn't help but notice that Mina is with the Metropolitan Water District, charged with being one of the key people on the Colorado River, was very appreciative of that selection of your challenge. John, you can use Colorado River if you want.
No, nothing new here. Our people are aware, but our biggest issue is PFAS. It's a family of chemicals that are ubiquitous to our environment. It's everywhere. Probably everybody in here has PFAS in their body, and and you're handling it very well. And
For now.
So far, but we keep getting better and better with our laboratory equipment. When I was in college, you could test down to parts per million. Maybe 20 years ago, you could test down to parts per billion. Today, we can test down to parts per trillion. And we're like, hey, look what we found. We have these PFAS chemicals in our water supply. So the regulators have taken a very conservative approach. And it's our water supply. You want to be conservative. But it is forcing us to treat. Right now, we have 62 wells that need treatment out of 200. And when the EPA sets their 4 part per trillion MCL in a month or so here, we're going to be up to 100 wells out of 200 wells in our basin that will need treatment. So we will be spending about $550 million getting these wells back up and running. And it's just been a major effort with us. And but it has reduced our groundwater pumping. So our groundwater basin has filled up, which is the good news, but we want to get groundwater pumping back to where it was, and so we're moving as quickly as we can, and we've been pretty successful so far, but we have about 3 more years to go. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, our most significant problem, the thing that keeps me up at night is the future of our water recycling program. We are a victim of our success. West Basin has been advocating and doing everything we can in furtherance of direct potable reuse for years. It's part of our earliest strategic plans, and now it's a reality. And what you're seeing is the value of wastewater is now something that is real and everybody's looking at. I know Orange County has done a great job with indirect potable reuse. We've done an exceptional job as well, but now we have a source problem. We have Municipal Water District moving forward with pure water. We have the LADWP and the City of Los Angeles looking at what to do with Hyperion. And our water recycling program has a source issue. And on top of that, I know that everybody is dealing with water quality or wastewater quality because we have the unintended consequences of conservation and then affordability, because the cost of producing recycled water is now very expensive. And when you run out of those LRP subsidies, it becomes more and more difficult to serve your communities. So making that recycled water affordable to our cities and our school districts is crucial to our success.
All right. My turn? I'm up?
It is.
All right, thanks. I think our top priority or issue is that we, and I think all of us are experiencing this, is declining water supply availability and the need to reinvest in our systems. So we need to maintain and strengthen. I think we have a good optimized mix at Pasadena, frankly, but we need to maintain and strengthen every component of our portfolio and our system. So that means our groundwater. We need sustainable groundwater. We need to maintain our state water project supplies. We need to maintain our Colorado River supplies. We need to. We have an aging infrastructure. We're an old city. Pasadena Water was formed in 1912, and we have a rich history of being visionaries and gumption. So we were one of the driving member agencies for the formation of the Metropolitan Water District. A fun note is that we are the first and oldest adjudicated groundwater basin in the state, but we have an aging infrastructure that we need to reinvest in, right? And we need to get that water supply, and so it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be cheap, but we have to do this because not being reliable is not an option, and so we have to do this together.
Our regional goal has always been to ensure reliability. While some suggest demand will stay consistently low, history has shown there will be some rebound in demand. In your opinion, how do you balance reliability and build new projects while balancing the over and under investing challenges? This should be simple.
I can start. Right. Look.
One was looking at you, Dan.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think demands are coming back. We look at Metropolitan, 2 million acre feet worth of sales in the good old days. You look at San Diego at 500,000 acre feet. We're gonna probably be under 300 this year, and that's gonna be the lowest that we've been, since we've really embarked upon this diversification effort. And we've sat back and we've tried to hope for the best, and we've tried to get back to our planning, get back to a trend line that we hope will get there. And I candidly to all of you, I don't see it happening. You may rebound a bit, but I think what that speaks to is what everyone in this room should be concerned about is the denominator in your sales. We don't have the ability to spread the cost across a larger rate base the way that we used to be able to do. And so then you continue down that path. And so what investment cycle are we in as public utilities? Is it do you have $20 billion projects, $6 billion projects? Of course we do. We all need that, right? And so we have to find a way to balance that future resource mix that's really expensive. All the cheap water's gone. San Diego, I can speak to you a lot about what expensive water is, the Carlsbad desal plant and other things, but you get to a point where you have these investments, and if you don't have the ability to spread those costs, and none of us do anymore, you have to take a step back and think about, what's the best business decision for us as an industry. I think a lot of this is driven by regulation. Potable reuse. Of course, reuse is the future of water in Southern California. I 100% agree with that. What do we need to do to make it affordable? Do you take a step back? Do you slow it down? Do you ask yourself, is it really necessary? I don't know that I have the answer to that, but I do know that the next increment of supply for Southern California is very expensive, and it's very expensive across a lower rate base, and it's something that we all need to understand and come to grips with.
Thank you. That was a good answer.
Yeah,
Glad he went first, huh, John?
yeah. But this is a great issue and a very important issue. And talking about my service area, for the last 20 years, water demands have been declining just steadily. And we used to have demands around 515,000 acre feet a year. Last year, our demands were 351,000 acre feet. Now, last year was a very wet year, and you would expect demands to be down, and there will be a little bit of a rebound. But in general, I'm kind of pessimistic with Dan. I don't see demands really going up in my service area, at least. And for a couple of reasons. The state, with their conservation as a way of life regulation, the state is giving cities a water budget, and if you go over that water budget, potentially in the future, you could be fined. So that's going to put pressure on cities to do even more conservation. And then if you look at outside water use, there's still a lot of potential to reduce outside water use. We probably all have neighbors who have taken out their front yards and put in synthetic turf or California-friendly landscaping. And so you got to think that will continue. The only thing I see in my service area maybe pushing up on water demands are the RENA. The state has imposed the RENA regulations where cities have to modify their general plans and allow for more dense housing. But overall, it would not surprise me if demands keep continuing to go down. And that's going to make it really hard for boards or city councils who are considering a new water supply project. And we've talked about the need to invest, but you see demands going down, and then you have your staff telling you we need to build this billion-dollar water supply project. And I can see like paralysis setting in with a board not wanting to do anything, wanting to just sit back and wait and see what happens to water demands. So very important and timely issue right now, and there's no real good answer. We're just going to have to see what happens. Yeah.
Just to be fair, because I realize I wasn't, Stacie and Harvey, you should pay close attention to this next question. With the pressures and conditions of climate and precipitation variability, our supplies from the Colorado River and the State Water Project fluctuate. What should the region focus its priorities and investments upon? What should be the critical priorities undertaken by MET over the next 10 years? And because you're my favorite, you get to go first.
Yeah, it tied into the previous question. What is that investment that's going to provide that balance? And what I find critical is further investments in storage. The investments in storage, I think, can provide that flexibility with what we're seeing in variations. I mean, what we're going to see over the next couple of days, and what we're actually seeing up north right now, is a tremendous amount of precipitation. And what they've said is that it's a pineapple effect, meaning it's more warmer water. That water, what we're even going to see here in Southern California, is water that's really just going to be going straight to the ocean. So the question is, how do we properly capture it? And I think, and it's been talked about by many people in this room, is that how do we make the further investments into storage and location storage? But more importantly, the thing that sometimes we keep missing is it's not the development of more storage, because someone's going to raise their hand here and say, Harvey, Metropolitan and the region has capacity of over 5 million acre feet. We have places on the Colorado River that we could put more water. The real question is that, we should be asking ourselves is not increasing storage capacity, it's increasing withdrawal capacity. Because you can put a lot of water in one location, but if you can't take it out when you need it, that's critical. So it's investments in the right investments in locations of storage that has the withdrawal capacity. The recent program that I thought was great was the Metropolitan investment where they made an AVEC, where they were able to withdraw, put around over 70,000 acre feet over a period of time, and take out 70,000 acre feet. The way that we did things in the past of tying the withdrawal capacity to the table A is not workable anymore. We have to not just make investments in storage, but really make that further investments in storage withdrawal capacity. That's the key to be able to help us get through those highs and lows years, because that's what we're going to see, more fluctuations. And that's exactly what we need to be doing.
Ditto. kind of stole my thunder there, frankly. Maybe next time I'll go first.
You're in operations,
Oh,
so you know.
yeah. I used
You
to be in
know.
operations at Metropolitan at one point. So that's exactly it. I'm going to say that it's very similar things. It's about managing through these extremes, really. And what it takes is, I was going to say storage, and the ability and infrastructure to capture and convey to storage and from storage. And so what we've seen over the last couple of years, what we're seeing this month, the kind of variability we're seeing, and it's only January. It's the end of January, right? By the way, whenever someone says Pineapple Express, I'm from Hawaii, so it warms my heart. Whenever I hear Pineapple Express. But in any case, that's what we need. We need to be able to capture the wetter wets. This is a fundamental water management. Just now we have to do this outside of the realm we used to work with, all these extremes. So capture water when it's available, where it's available in wet years, in meaningful quantities. That's a key thing. It has to be meaningful quantities in order to get us through the longer, hotter droughts. And so that's what we can do there. And some examples, we talk about meaningful quantity. We talked about state water project variability. In 2023, for example, the water going off the release from the main spillway, Oroville main spillway, basically going straight to the ocean, went up to like 35,000 CFS. So if you think about that, or 36,000 CFS, if you think about that in context, in one day, the amount of water that was released and went to the ocean makes up for over 2.5 to 3 years of Pasadena's total retail demand in one day. So that's the kind of magnitude. That's where we get the economies of scale. That's where we get the affordability factor when we look at those big projects and we work on those collectively. And when I'm talking about some examples, conveyance would be a state water project, a Delta conveyance project. That's an example. Examples of storage would be new reservoirs in places that we need it, that we can take from. Right? My favorite would be DVL Part 2, upstream of the bifurcation, east-west branch bifurcation. What it means is optimizing our existing resources. We have about 8 million acre-feet of in-region groundwater capacity. About 5 million acre-feet is available. That's what we have existing, so we can utilize that in-region storage and optimize that with new storage and conveyance to make that happen. And so I think those are all key points that we need to do. And we also, one thing that I think we often forget, we keep looking at the future, but sometimes we overlook the needs of today, and because sometimes that's boring, right? It's the maintenance and replacement, and we need to do that. We need to continue to do that. So we can't sacrifice today for tomorrow. So we need to keep an eye on that, and overall, just continue to meet our mission. That's how we're going to continue to meet our mission.
Thanks, Stacie.
Thank you.
Damon, the next time we do this, remind me to check for an American flag, which is here in the building. It was just moved when they reset the chairs, but it didn't do us much good. Thank goodness Brett was here. Also, can we invest in one of those electric signs that says applause? Because when they start talking about storage and, importantly, yield, it's not just the storage, it's the yield. I wanted an applause sign so that everyone could know that they should let them know we agree, and that is one of the big keys going forward. So would you see if that's in the budget? I won't make you guess who gets to answer the next one, EJ. Recently, DWR approved the Delta Conveyance Project EIR. What information is your agency seeking to help formulate a position on the DCP?
That is a great question. I see a lot of people here that work on legislation. I remember 2007, 2008, 2009, as we started to work on this historic Delta package, when something was passed, we all celebrated and we thought something was going to be done. And here I am now as a general manager, I look back and I think just how awkward that moment was when we came back to the office and we said we got it. West Basin was a big advocate of the historic Delta package, probably less historic now. You look at it, one of our directors, Director Gloria Gray, served on the initial Delta Stewardship Council. We've been working on this forever. The twin tunnels, as we advocated for, were vetted by Metropolitan Water District and made a significant commitment to move forward with those twin tunnels. And of course, then you have a new governor. And I don't fault him. I think he had a fresh perspective and a new look, but it just points out how far we were away from seeing something achieved. And so now as I look at the EIR, I look at it from West Basin's perspective, and we're a completely new agency. Just as you've heard up and down this panel, our water demand is nowhere where it was back in 2007 through 2009. Our need for import water is real. Our need for state water project water is real. I know some of you are familiar with the state water dependent areas within the Metropolitan Water District service area. West Basin has portions of our service area that rely only on state water project water. So a project needs to move forward as far as we're concerned. But now we need to look at the affordability, the cost benefit analysis. And I should say storage here just for the applause, but I will say we need that supply for our service area, but it needs to be affordable. We saw what happened at Metropolitan Water District where the beneficiaries, as Met was vetting that project, the beneficiaries said, well, maybe Metropolitan Water District could pay more or would be willing to pay more. And Metropolitan Water District did step up at that time. But the Met board itself is different. So just through this change in time and over the years, just like our agencies have changed, the people have changed, the priorities have changed. And so looking at the cost of that water and the cost of a project in the Delta is going to be a real issue for West Basin and what it means to our ratepayers. Storage.
There you go. There you go.
We say that enough, maybe the word will get out in Sacramento and the other places where it's really needed. I believe in the power of prayer and repetition, so. I don't know how much longer Damon's going to give me, so I'm going to, I've got another bullet round here I'd like to use. Based on past general managers you've worked for or with, what are the qualities or attributes you admire, strive for, and plan to do what to do differently? And because you're my favorite.
I had the pleasure to work with a lot of great general managers.
This is a spot to put in how great your board is.
Also a fantastic board, the Magnificent Seven.
Right.
And what to answer the question is what I admire the most, and I had the privilege, obviously, to work for a great general manager that unfortunately passed away pretty much close to almost a year from this day, Mr. Rob Hunter. His ability to listen, and we hear this quite often, but obviously I try to practice almost every day is listen, truly listen to understand. Fully understand what people are saying versus to respond or to reply, and that's something that Rob, I saw, and also other general managers and these general managers. I mean, if you ever see them in action, they're great listeners. They understand the issues, and it's not just reacting. And so I've always trying to improve upon that, and that's something I've always admired about some of the general managers that I've worked for. What I'm very fortunate about, and you see this with this, new era of general managers that are here on the panel and also out in the audience, that I'm striving for is this notion of further cooperation and creativity.
Hear, hear.
The past generation, I would say, kind of saw a little bit of competition as a healthy as a healthy element. I don't sense that with this group here. There's a tremendous amount of respect and a tremendous amount of understanding that you can have this coexistence of doing what's best for your agency, but also doing what's best for the region. And that's something that I want to strive to. There is an outstanding gentleman right next to me, Dan Denham. And I don't think people have really got to know you, Dan. But when he came out of the gate, one of his first creative ideas that I truly had questions, and again, the reaction rather than understanding, and I appreciate Dan for truly taking the time for me to understand, was a tremendously creative program that he orchestrated with Metropolitan, is to work with the federal government and be able to make an exchange with their ID transfer for the benefit of the region, the benefit for his agency, and the benefit for actually Lake Mead. And I give you tremendous kudos for that creativity. And I think this is only the beginning. And I will tell you that I'm extremely looking forward to working with you, Dan, because I think San Diego is going into a new era of further cooperation. And I'm so happy that he's sitting on this panel with it. The other outstanding individuals, if you see them in action, is seeking that further collaboration and creativity. That is something that I hope that I can be part of and strive for. The thing that we need to do differently, I kind of speak more to the audience here in Orange County, is that my commitment to all of you is to shape MWDOC to be more of an active listener. But from the standpoint of, instead of thinking that just because we are the wholesaler, that we have some understanding of what you need and what you want, I think we are going to strive, and my objective is to strive to ask and understand and learn what you need. In fact, one of the activities that the board has authorized me is to do something called Spotlight a Member Agency. So each board meeting, I am asking a member agency, the MWDOC service area, to come down and tell us who they are, what they are working on, what they're doing, and what they need, and how can we help. That's important, because there's sometimes where we just have to spend some time to truly understand and listen. And I would say the first agency that made that commitment, and I'm very pleased, is Mr. Mark Toy from Yorba Linda, that he'll be down here in February. And followed by that, and hopefully we can do that every month, because that is something that if we can truly understand and learn, then hopefully we can be a better agent and better servant to the needs of this community. So that's what I want to do differently, and I hope that we can have success with that. So.
I just got the applause meter. You did well. Okay, Dan, let's see how you're going to go on it.
I guess I'll just...
You got a paid public service announcement.
Yeah, no kidding. Harvey and I have had this conversation, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. When I started off with my elevator speech today, I think I said something to the effect of, I need all of you in the audience, and I need all of my peers up here, and that's absolutely right. Look, I know what people think of the San Diego County Water Authority, and I think that when you start to own that, that's the first step in getting towards a better relationship, trust, and everything that goes along with what Harvey said, with getting from that initial reaction of what's he up to, oh, this is actually a decent idea. So I appreciate those words. Just getting to the question in terms of, who I've leaned upon. Look, I've worked for the Mother Teresas of the world, the Margaret Thatchers, and the Gunnery Sergeant R. Lee Irving, if you all remember Full Metal Jacket, right? And I think that I take a little bit from each one of those people, and I'm making light of it, but I think that whether you're in any relationship that you're in, right, you're taking the best and the worst of people, and you're processing what to do with it. And I think that going forward with staff and with all of you in the room and with my colleagues, it's taking on what is needed at the right time. Sometimes you do need to be, Mother Teresa. I mean, think about what we all went through in COVID. The initial reaction, as I remember when we were sitting in the room, myself and my former or my predecessor, Sandy Curl, and our initial reaction was, they have to come back to work. They can't have laptops. We're not going to purchase 10,000 laptops, and that was the mindset. It was sort of like this command and control, and we were set up like that. But we took a step back and we're a little bit more compassionate, and I think that compassion is really important in any relationship. And we got to the point where maybe now is not the best time to press on someone, right? When they're going through this kind of life-changing event. Maybe it's time to be compassionate, and there's time for compassion, and then there's time to be a drill sergeant. And I'll be the first to admit that in my first 6 months, I've had both, and I think that you just have to know when to apply that skill with what group and with what person. That's what I've taken from the 3 GMs that I've worked for.
Sounds like you've had some good experience. Glad they helped make you the well-rounded GM you are today. John?
So I've been fortunate to work for 3 general managers, going back to Bill Mills. Many of you remember Bill, and great man. Bill kind of set us on a track, and we've been following that track ever since he was general manager. Then Virginia Grebian, and then Mike Marcus. And all 3 are just super good people, honesty, integrity, traits of all of them. I'm going to focus on Mike, the most recent GM, and everyone knows Mike. And what I hope to kind of emulate and follow, and Mike was very clear. If you ask Mike a question, you got an answer. You knew very quickly if he liked your idea or did not. And Mike would not talk in gray areas. You can talk to some people about a subject, and they can talk for 5 minutes, and you're not even sure what they said. But not with Mike. You ask Mike a question, you got a direct answer, and he provided clarity, and great direction for the staff on what we were going to do, what we weren't going to do. So I hope to continue with that to the extent I can with my personality. But yeah, I'm just fortunate to have worked for 3 really good general managers, and hopefully a lot of what they did has rubbed off on me. So thank you. And storage. Okay.
EJ, was anything you'd like to say about who taught you about storage?
You know what? I mentioned this before, that the people at West Basin are exceptional, and it's football time right now. The Super Bowl's coming up, and we always talk about the coaching tree. The head coach that breeds the assistant coaches that ultimately become the head coaches. And for you junior staffers that are here, your first policy dinner, that this is it. Go back to your office tomorrow, look around, look at the leaders that you're working with, because those are going to be the general managers in the future. And I have had an incredible ride in this industry. I got to West Basin a little bit after Paul Jones was at West Basin, a little bit after Paul Cook, but I got to experience Paul Schoenberger. I got to experience Mark Cerna. I got to experience Fernando Paluti. When Paul Schoenberger left, we got Shivaji Deshmukh. I know that there's an assistant general manager probably here tonight, Christiana Daisy. She's probably here. But we have an amazing track record when it comes to leadership at West Basin. And I've learned something from every single person that I've worked with. But if I'm going to name one, it's also Oscar season, so I'm going to play it off right here. You guys can play some music, I'll stop. But if you have to name one, Rich Nagel. Rich Nagel, to me, is somebody that taught me that energy can be felt within a room and can drive people to succeed and make people want to succeed. It can bring people together to work together when maybe different opinions and different ideas maybe don't mix right away. It can happen. And ultimately, success is what this industry is all about, and looking at the play and how to get there. and how every person here can contribute to that is something that I'll be striving for throughout my career. So thank you, Rich. I don't think he's here tonight, but thank you.
Damon, make a note, Rich didn't come.
Drinks on Rich, you know.
That's right. Stacie, I'm going to, because you're my favorite,
Thank you. I was waiting for that.
I want to give you a little hint here. John was so close, but he said storage. You want yield.
Yield. All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'll put that in there somehow. Firstly, I wanted to give a big shout out to Director Cynthia Kurtz, who's here. If you stand up. Come on, Cynthia. Yeah. She's not a big person, but a giant in the water industry, and one of our previous city managers at Pasadena, and a long history of contributing to the water industry. And so thank you for that. I also had the pleasure of having the same general manager in 2 different areas. So at Metropolitan, it was Mr. Jeffrey Keitlinger, and then at Pasadena, for a little while, it was also Mr. Jeffrey Keitlinger. So I got to learn a lot from him in different areas. But overall, like I said, I had the extreme pleasure of working with giants in the water industry, and they're humble giants. I think that's a key thing, the right mix of humility and ambition not for yourself, but ambition towards the larger cause and mission. So driven by and drives the larger cause and mission. I think that's key. Some key qualities include just really the will and endurance, as well as the ability to communicate and work together for solutions and results. I think those are key things that I want to emulate, and I'm here contributing to this role because of those leaders that I follow. And although I'm still growing, relatively new here, I want to emulate some of the key things that I appreciate, which is developing others. I think that's a big thing, setting up others for success, and that's what I want to leave behind as I keep growing in my role as well. And to yield future leaders. There we go.
Okay, I think my job's about done here. We got this yield thing under control. One of the things I wanted to say thank you about when I mentioned Charlie Wilson was because when I saw him, I remembered something he did at the Riverside Inn. Mission Inn, in Riverside. He said, those of you who are out there on social media, don't hesitate to spread the word about the Municipal Water and Orange County Policy Dinners. Tell them the food's good, the program's great. You'll probably have a new master of ceremonies next time that doesn't lose all the doggone papers. Please spread the word. We would like to have more and more people who are interested in water come and join us here. Our new vice president this year, Mr. Jeff Thomas, has given me a task that I don't want to fall short on, which is to do better. He said, I get a lot more people coming to the summit. So you guys are going to have to help me bail me out on this. So at this point, it's my pleasure to thank Mr. De La Torre, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Takeguchi, and yes, my new favorite, Dan Denham. And I get to present them all with parting gifts. Now, the lovely parting gifts you're used to, no. They're on. These are what's known euphemistically in this trend as go bags. So take them and go. You'll find they have most of the things that you need in there and a bunch of things that you need that will not be in there. But those things are probably in the trunk of my car now. You don't think, I don't take a little something, something for doing this. Importantly, I would like to thank the staff at the Westin Hotel. They have worked pretty hard through the years to work with us, and we're appreciative. I want to thank the MWDOC staff, particularly those who are the unsung heroes right outside the door. They want to make sure to see you if you need a parking validation. And they also want to see you if you have any questions or suggestions for the future, and they'll take your name badges. And I want to thank each and every one of them, with the exception of Damon. Just because I don't want him to think this is too easy that he gets to go on that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. Your time is very valuable. We appreciate your sharing it with us. We hope that you found it of value. Please drive carefully on your way home. We want to see you back next time. Good evening.